Hello everyone, it's Sam McDonough, IFBB Bikini Pro, and today we're gonna do our final recap of the Olympia. So, a couple things I could have done better yesterday is pointing out the actual people that I was talking about, because I realize now that everyone is not as chronically following the sport as I am. So, when I was saying just like Jazzy, Maureen, Ashlyn, stuff like that, people were like, who are you talking about, bitch? So, I will be doing a better job of that today. But before I do that, just a brief reintroduction because some new people subscribed to me yesterday after my video. So, brief introduction, I'm Sam. I went pro last year at the Arnold Amateur in 2024. And I made this channel because there weren't a lot of people making commentary videos and because it feels like the sport is pretty dominated by right-wing people, so I felt like I didn't have a lot in common with a lot of people in the sport. So it gets kind of lonely, especially during the politically charged times we're in now. So yeah, this channel is for people who want to watch, people who love bikini, people who are open-minded, queer people especially. I'm queer myself, and maybe I already said that. How many times can I say it? And yeah, below all of my videos in the description, there's always a nonprofit that I'm shouting out. It's usually either something related to Palestine or to queer nonprofit like Trans Lifeline, where it's all trans people that work there, and they are a crisis hotline for any trans people going through crisis. So yeah, and the Trevor Project, that is another one of my absolute faves. So that's a little bit about what I'm about, and let's talk. And thank you for everyone who subscribed and for everyone who commented nice things. I really appreciate you. So let's get into the final recap. Okay, and another update, I doubt I will be able to get to show previews this week. It's my sister's wedding this weekend, and I need to travel for it, and I have a lot of schoolwork to do in preparation because I'm going to be missing classes to go. So I will, if I have time to do it, I will, but I'll definitely recap shows after they happen. So let's get into it. Okay, I'm in my notes as usual. So let's go over, finals. Here were my thoughts during finals. The lighting was way different and better at finals, and that happened last year at finals too. It's just finals happens on a different stage. I don't know if it's like a theater that it happens in as opposed to the expo stage that prejudging takes place on. So prejudging takes place on the expo stage, and let me mute this because I screen recorded, but I have it so that like my own volume can be heard, so you'll hear like me and my boyfriend talking to each other. So Jazzy's makeup looked better at the night show because of the lighting, so that was good. And then basically what happened, it was between Ashlyn and Maureen is right here. Ashlyn is the blonde person, and Maureen won. So congratulations, Maureen. I was off in my predictions because yeah, my bias just got in the way. When you're watching a show for like 4 hours, or it wasn't 4 hours, but for a long time, everything just starts to blur at a certain point, and I cannot keep my biases in check. I tried. My reasoning for having Maureen, so Maureen is right here. My reasoning for having Maureen not winning after prejudging yesterday was for a few reasons. So one, Maureen was losing her core control pretty much immediately. Once she was in that first call out, she was in the center of the first call out and she didn't move the whole time. Her core control, she kept readjusting her position. Her rib cage would inflate like this, and sometimes it'd be flat like Ashlyn's and Jazzy's. But yeah, so Amy, the one in the red suit, she at the Arnold this year got knocked down in placings. She lost to, who did she lose to? Lori Lee didn't compete there. Oh, Vanya. Vanya's not in this call out. So she lost to Vanya, who ended up getting 8th at this show, for two reasons. One, her front pose was not consistent. So every time she would turn around, her front pose would change a little bit. So she would go back and forth between a couple, which goes against you in the judging. And then two is that she lost her core control. So the top three at the Arnold was Vanya, Amy, and then Ashlyn got third. They posed them for a super long time. It's what I recommend my posing clients to watch when they do their posing practice. So I have them adopt a position of one of the people on stage and then just go with the call outs that the judge makes. Because posing conditioning is huge. Posing conditioning is the ability to hold your pose and not fade away when you're holding the pose on stage. So that's a good video to watch because they turn them around a bunch of times and they're up there for 5 to 8 minutes. A long time to be in your front pose for majority of it. So the deciding factor in that win was Vanya was just great. Obviously, she's great. But Ashlyn and Amy both started to lose their core control, and that was the deciding factor. So that's why the core control, her winning, was throwing me. The other reason is Maureen does have great glutes. She has the least development in her glutes in the lineup, but very favorable insertions when she's in her back pose. So I'll show you that. Here she is in her back pose, and the fullness of her glutes going into her hamstrings, which are also super full muscle bellies, is very, very dangerous next to other competitors. Even though we see beautiful tie-ins on every single one of these competitors, except for unfortunately Laurale in this case, because Laurale, I think she's had too much body fat on her. I was wondering if maybe she was flat, giving her the benefit of the doubt, but I think she just had too much body fat. And I just finished Adam from Team Elite Physique's video, who was there in person, and he said the same thing, that it was a body fat thing. So I totally recommend going to his video. But what I'm getting at is that, what am I getting at? What was I going to say? And, yeah. So Maureen has great shape and roundness in her back pose, but in her front, so we know she has great glutes, but in the front pose, you don't see the same hourglass shape that you're seeing on every single other person in this call out, because she has this major hyperextension in her knee here. I'd like to see a little bit more bend so we close that gap, and more like you see on Ashlyn, Amy, and everyone else in this call out. This just makes the bottom of the hourglass way wider, so it becomes asymmetrical with the upper body. And it takes away from that round glute shelf in the front pose. So that's what I was saying yesterday, that it just looks like everybody else has a stronger front pose than Maureen. Even though Maureen's front pose is incredibly strong because, one, she's super confident. Her confidence is unmatched from any competitor. I've said that for a long time. Maureen's my favorite Miss Bikini Olympia physique when she won in 2022, which she did win, having a rib flare throughout the duration of the show. But yeah, I think the front pose is just weaker than everyone else in this call out with shape wise. So Laurale, I think her pose is weak just because she has too much body fat, but shape wise, it's still superior to Maureen's. We also lose a lot of hamstring, which is an imbalance of muscularity. So she looks more muscular on top than she does on bottom. And bikini is all about balance in your conditioning, balance in your muscle fullness, and balance from top to bottom, front to back. So those were some of the issues I had with Maureen. Even though we know she has good glutes, and if she posed a little bit differently, we'd see more glute, we can't judge her based on what we know she has but is not showing. So those were my issues with Maureen. The most egregious of the offenses, just kidding, I'm just being dramatic, the biggest flaw being the lack of posing conditioning. So yeah, but Maureen's look is so much different than every single other person's at the show. She doesn't have as much density as the other people, but what she does have is an incredible fullness and just plumpness to her skin and muscle bellies that nobody else has. Everyone else has some more muscle in her. Their shape is better than her in their front pose, but Maureen is so captivating because she has this gorgeous bubbliness to the skin. The tan, hair, makeup, suit, and her confidence are just unbelievable. Maureen, I don't think she has the best posing out of all the top Olympians at their best. Like Laurale has some of the best posing and confidence. Vanya, who's not pictured, I think she and Laurale are evenly matched. And I think Jazzy has incredible posing and stage presence. And all three of those people have crazy confidence, but Maureen's confidence is even a little bit more than Laurale, which sells everything about her. So that's what I think that's just an it factor that very few people have. There were 68 people competing for the Bikini Olympia title, and Maureen is the only one who has this amount of confidence. Like, she is mesmerizing to watch. So I'm very happy for Maureen. And then going to her back pose, I didn't have any issues with her back pose. I think her back pose was spot on. So yeah. Okay. What else do I have to say? So yeah. And another thing that I was thinking yesterday, because Tyler said in the past, like a couple years ago, he said that the person who is a little bit softer will win. They're trying to get away from hardness. So is Maureen winning a reset for the division because it's gotten so hard? I honestly don't think so. And that's kind of, even though I love Maureen's physique, it's my fave, I struggle a little bit with her winning because it's not what they've rewarded all year. That messes with me a little bit. I mean, it's fine. If it's a reset, I would love for it to be a reset because it has gotten really hard, really dense, and very developed. However, I don't see this being a reset. I don't see them rewarding softer physiques suddenly because they didn't reward softer physiques with the rest of the top 5. So from Amy in the red all the way to Ashley, those were the top 5. So it was 1 Maureen, 2 Ashlyn, 3 Jazzy, 4 Amy, and 5 Ashley. Laurale was in 6th. So there are 4 open pro shows this weekend. Hurricane is one of them, then Olympia, Brazil, and then 2 other open shows. And then there are 2 natural pro bikini shows. So we'll see this weekend if they start rewarding softer physiques suddenly, but I just don't see it happening. Now, there are some judges that do lean towards the softer physiques. It's typically the female judges, so like Becky and Sandy. But the full male judging panels, they usually lean a little bit harder. Like, for example, Jordan Brandon is someone who, she looked incredible at the Olympia. This is her best look ever. And that's how you want your Olympia look to be. You want it to be the best you've ever looked. So Jordan is not pictured here, but I will pull her up. She prefers to do shows with the male judging panels because she typically comes in harder, so she does better in front of those panels. While the criteria should be consistent across every single judge, it's just not. It would be foolish to say that it is because we see it play out as it not being the case. So yeah, that was my only issue with Maureen winning. Even though she's my favorite physique, I don't see this being a reset. I think Maureen is just unlike anyone else. So yeah, and maybe I'll just get into it now. So, okay, NPC. Okay, I'm going to minimize this, and then we're going to go here. So, if we were rewarding physiques that are more in line with Maureen, then I think some of the other people we would have seen in the top 15, because it's only scored till 15. However, on the scorecard, Ji-Bin, she was one of my people who I thought, okay, if they do, like, if someone might make it in top 15, or if the placings read as, like, there is a 16th place, even though they don't continue judging after 15th, then I think it could be Ji-Bin, so I'll show you Ji-Bin. So Ji-Bin got 79 points and was solidly in 16th place, and everyone else got 80 points, meaning they are, after 15th, it's just last place. So if we were awarding people that looked similar to Maureen, then it would be like Maureen, and then it would be these people, then Raina probably, even though Raina is more on the muscular side, so I'll show you these people. Sally Ann has a similar fullness. And then we have like Alice Marquisio. She's a fuller physique. Not Brittany Gillespie. Deanna Dang could use a little bit more muscle, and Maureen is the least muscled. So let's see what Deanna Dang looks like. I haven't looked into her too much. Ji-Bin, and then I'll just pull up like one more person. Let's see, who do I want to pull up? I love Nataya's physique. I don't know. Let's see. So here's Maureen. This is the level of hardness she has, which is not super hard. Raina's a little harder, but she is fuller, and she does have more muscle, so she wouldn't win against Maureen. If they want Maureen winning, then nobody else is going to win, because Maureen is different from every other person. So that's similar fullness. Sally Ann has very similar fullness. I was saying in my preview video, I was like hoping she would make it in the top 15, and she did. She got 14th. Here she is in her back pose. I think she's like a taller, a slightly more dense Maureen. I'm a big fan of Sally Ann, and I think these people would all compare well to Maureen's physique in terms of conditioning. Alice, I think, is a great example because she's a little less muscular than some of the other people, and was really full. Let's see what Deanna looked like. I thought Deanna could adjust her posing, but a little less muscled, really full, smooth conditioning. So these are like, and this happens every year. Like, it's a little bit Ji-Bin, fuller, softer, a little less muscle, and then I'll pull up the last person. Natalia, she's more on the muscular side, but she does have a softer looking conditioning. I'm a big Natalia fan. So that's what I think there. And this happens every year. Like, it's not that everyone with the exact same conditioning places in the top 5. Ashley K is a good example of that. So if we pull up Ashley K, here she is in 2023. Let's do 2022 at the Olympia. She's on the harder side here because in the past they liked Ashley a little bit leaner. So let me show you the comparison where it's just like one is not quite like the other. She's the tightest person in this lineup, but still placed 3rd. So this is the year that this year that Maureen last won. So let's pull this. Oh, I miss seeing Daraja on stage. I love Daraja. Okay, let's pull up this photo. So my point here is just that it's not uncommon for people to have different levels of conditioning. Okay, this isn't a great example. Jen was also pretty hard too this year. I forgot. But, okay, let me pull up 2021. Okay. We are almost there. Okay, I'll pull up 2021. This was when she got 3rd for the first time in a while. Or was back in the top 5 for the first time in a while. So here we are. Okay. Well, let's just look at the top 3. So Ashley has a lot more detail than we're seeing on Jennifer right here or Laurale on the left. So Laurale does have some detail in this leg, but Ashley has like the ribs are popping out a little bit. You see a visible 6-pack and stuff like that. So, I mean, I'm not going to spend extra time finding an even better example, but like, I guess just take my word for it. Use this year as an example and apply it. Okay. So let's look at, what's in my notes? So another thing that I had written down is that Laurale was on the softer side this year. And, oh man, I just really felt for her. Laurale, she won last year, and this is an issue that Laurale has had over the years. She does okay, let me pull her picture up down here. Okay, is this her? Oh, thank goodness I got it. Okay, so here she is. So in the past, she has kind of missed at the Olympia. Like, maybe she gets in her head, maybe she has personal things going on, but she is inconsistent in her Olympia appearances. So in 2018, that was the first year that she went to the Olympia, and she got 2nd place. And then from that point until last year, she was like either at the lowest, I think, in a 6th place position. But she won the Arnold in 2023, 2022, 2021, and maybe 2020. No, 2021 was the first one. So, and then she got 2nd in 2021 again. So 2018, she gets 2nd. 2019, she gets 4th. 2020, she drops to 5th. 2021, she gets back up to 2nd place. 2022, drops down to 5th again. 2023, 4th again. 2024, finally wins. But in those years, she won the Arnold each year. So 2024, she won the Arnold. There weren't pictures posted that year or the year prior. So she won the Arnold this year, and then she won the Arnold in 2022. She might have even, did I look at 20? Yeah, okay. So 3 Arnolds in a row. So she would always get it together for the Arnold, and she would have missed at the Olympia. So I was hoping that after last year, she would not struggle to get in condition again. I was thinking, okay, maybe if she's proven it to herself once, then she will be able to replicate it again this year. But unfortunately, that's not the case. Oh, and then moving back to the reset thing, so Jennifer Dory won with softer conditioning in 2021, and then Maureen won soft conditioning 2022, and then Jen won again, softer conditioning 2023. And those were all supposed to be resets, but then hard people kept winning and qualifying for the Olympia. So that's why I'm doubtful, because history has not proven that they do go for a softer look except for at the Olympia and like maybe half of the shows each year. Laurale was the first one that I didn't think, okay, they're trying to like reset. necessarily for softer conditioning, because she was like tight enough. She's had like the perfect amount of detail last year, but I didn't really see it as a reset. I saw it more as just holding the standard. So yeah, I really felt for Laurale. She just wasn't tight enough in this lower body. So, and that goes to the core too. Her confidence was there, and it was the amount of her confidence was what pretty much everyone else's confidence is, which is really good. But for Laurale, it was nowhere near what it usually is. So I just really felt for her. Had she not just won the Olympia last year, I don't think she would have gotten in the top 10, because she just doesn't have any pop in this lower body. Like, we just are hardly seeing any hamstring. She just looks a little soft. So yeah, I feel for Laurale, but hopefully she can relax. Maybe she'll do the Arnold next year. She was supposed to do it this year, but had to drop out for, I believe, health reasons. She said to maintain longevity in the sport. So what does that mean? I assume health. I'm not sure. Okay, so let's get into, I pulled up everyone's photos, so I guess we can get into it one by one. So, okay, finals, I thought lighting is different. I don't know if it's just lighting, but Laurale looked better at finals. Then I realized everyone looked better at the finals. Maureen and Ashlyn were in the center. I don't know. Oh yeah, I was like, I don't know that Maureen winning will make them reward softer glutes. If pros show up like Maureen, would they win? Could also be sending a message that bikini isn't going bigger or harder just because Fit Model is around. There's been a lot of discourse about that. And Maureen, this is similar conditioning kind of to Fit Model, a little bit tighter than Fit Model. But she definitely has more muscle than a Fit Model competitor. She doesn't have like the Fit Model shape. She has too much shoulder. She just has too much development. And then I said, we'll see who they rewarded the 4 open shows this weekend. And I said, her confidence is unmatched. And then I said, Amy crushed it. Amy was in the red suit. And I wondered if Jazzy was just too detailed in her upper body. So I'll get into that. And then Laurale was more confident at night, I thought. And I thought it was really sweet when they were lined up, or when Ashlyn and Maureen were holding hands and Maureen was like rubbing her hand. I thought it was sweet. So, okay, yeah. Let's get into each person. And I said that Ashlyn beat Amy for the first time. So the top 3, Maureen, Ashlyn, and Jazzy, are automatically qualified for next year. So they don't have to compete again. Okay, and then we'll see what Tyler says in his recap video, because I'm sure he will recap. And yeah. Okay. Now let's get into some stuff. So I'm going to start with Victoria just because she's specifically in my notes. So here's Victoria. Victoria went pro this year at the FIBO Pro. And at the FIBO Pro Qualifier, and then she competed at FIBO, got 3rd place, and then she did a competition like the next week and won, and qualified for the Olympia, and then she gets 15th at her first Olympia, so congratulations to her. And the reason I wanted to bring her up is because I'm going to bring all the top 15 up, but also because Victoria, I believe, is the first person we've seen go from going pro, qualifying for the Olympia, competing at the Olympia, and placing. So we saw Jess Neri do that this year, like qualify for the Olympia and compete there, but she didn't place. Deraja Hill is someone who at the Olympia in 2020, I believe, and she might not have, she won a couple shows like right when she went pro. So let me pull up Deraja's a little lore. So she got 14th at her first Olympia. So in 2019, she goes pro, and then the cutoff date for the Olympia had already happened. So she did qualify for the Olympia in her first season, but her first Olympia wasn't happening till the next year because the Olympia qualification period had already ended. So she won her first 2 pro shows, and then she competed at the Olympia and placed. So that's the last time I remember somebody going pro, qualifying, and then placing at the Olympia. So yeah, I saw that was pretty cool. Okay, now let's get into everyone's physiques individually. So, okay, I have the pictures pulled up. So here's Maureen. I've already talked in depth about Maureen. I think what she could work on is just adding some more density to her glutes and work on her posing conditioning. Everything else I think is there. If she had better posing conditioning, then I think would stand out more because it just looks more professional if you don't have to keep resetting your pose, honestly. A little more glute density, but honestly, if Maureen is winning now when they're rewarding such big physiques at other shows, she probably doesn't even have to work on anything. Those are the things I would think, so when she walks, her glutes don't flatten at all. But everything else was completely beautiful and perfect. I think she could also adjust that front pose. And to give you an example of what I mean with the front pose, Jennifer Dory in 2021 won the Olympia. So here is Jennifer. She has the same thing going on with her leg, where it just creates a lot of negative space. Her foot's closer together too. And Maureen hasn't really changed her front pose in like years. So it would be, it would be easy to fix. And then this is what Jennifer did to minimize all that negative space and enhance her shape. So I would like to see Maureen do exactly this. Add a little bit of bend in the knee. See how Jennifer gets a better roundness to the glute in her front pose? That's what I believe would happen to Maureen. So, okay, so I've talked enough about Maureen. So let's get into second place, Ashlyn. I don't think anyone could have done anything to beat Maureen. Maureen is like one of a kind. So, I had hopes that like Jazzy would win, but if Maureen is going to be the winner, nobody similar to her in the lineup. So a couple of things I would want from Ashlyn are to have the hair be a little more cohesive. You can see where the extensions start and her hair ends. So if that could just be more cohesive, brush it all together. And I think she could put her hands lower on her legs so we get more taper from the lat into the waist. Right now it looks a little bit straight up and down and more width in the hair, but I think that would happen just if she ran a brush through her hair and it were more cohesive. I also don't love that her shoulder is covered in this front pose, but it's probably because her shoulders get pretty tight and she's a lot smoother on the lower body than she's on the upper. She's also pretty detailed in this core. You can't really change that when you have to get this lean, but it is noticeable for me. I love Ashlyn's physique, but sometimes I think it is just a little bit too detailed, just genuine, like based only on genetics, like genetic, the way she leans out. And this is how like everyone leans out, but she just looks, since she's shorter on the upper body and has longer legs, then the insertions are shorter, which make her a little bit less flowy because it's like shoulder, bicep, tricep, instead of that cohesive, like for example, let me pull up Laurale again. You see the shoulder flow into the arm rather than seeing a bunch of individual muscles grouped together. So yeah, I would do that. And then I would get a little more color to the lip. I just think more color would be more flattering on her. And then the one thing she needs on her physique is just adding a little more size on her upper outer glutes, because you see that little bit of a dip there. The back looks good, but you see a little bit of a dip. And Adam was saying that her glutes kind of flattened a little bit when she walked, and that Amy and Maureen, I think he said Maureen. No, Amy and someone else had the best density when they walked. I don't know. So I'm going to take his word for it because he was at the show. So why did Ashlyn beat Amy? Okay, wait. Where did Jazzy go? Okay. I think maybe Ashlyn's glutes in the back were just a little bit fuller and poppier than Jazzy's. Looking at these photos, it looks like the tan might be sitting a little unevenly on Jazzy, or like it picked up on like, little hair follicles or something, like, because it just doesn't look quite as even here. And I think Jazzy probably had too much detail in this arm, but yeah, I think that's it. And then the makeup, it just looked a little bit ghostly. So I would like to see more, just the right colors on Jazzy. Last year her makeup was beautiful. I think that's it. Maybe just a little too much detail here and more color to the complexion. But Jazzy, yeah, she looked gorgeous. I'll show you what she looked like last year. Oh wait, that's Ashlyn. Okay, so I'm gonna get rid of Ashlyn because I already talked about her. Okay, so here's Jazzy, and here was her makeup at the Olympia last year. Like, that was perfect. So if we could just do that again. Okay, and then we have Amy. So Amy, I accidentally opened at the bottom here. So here's Amy. She got 4th place. And this was the best Amy has ever looked. Amy just completely knocked it out of the park. She looked absolutely stunning. I would get the hair off of the shoulders, but I don't think that's what cost her the placing. I think she has a lot of density to her glutes, but I think we just need more projection outward on the glutes, and I think that's probably where Jazzy edged her out a little bit. I also think Jazzy's confidence is a little better, but Amy's confidence was the best I've ever seen it, and it was really good. So I don't know how much of that played into it, but yeah, I mean, would I like to see maybe a kiss of detail in the core? Just a little, just a tiny bit, but I don't know that that's what cost her. I think Jazzy just has incredible stage presence and really crazy shape in her front pose and really great fullness and density to her glutes. So with Amy, I would like to see the glutes project out a little bit more. And in some of her poses, like this one, it looks like she is doing it. Her toes are angled slightly out, which isn't bad, but it's making her glutes the same width as her legs, and we want to see that taper from the glute into the knee. So yeah, I think that's it. She could probably have the arm tighter to her frame. I think that would frame her waist better, but she looked absolutely phenomenal. She really did great. And I know I think I said this yesterday, I know I've been critical of her sportsmanship in the past, like when she gets moved out. And I did see one person say that she had poor sportsmanship at this show, but I didn't see it. I thought Amy just like looked as professional as possible at the show. I think she did a great job. And then we have Ashley. So there wasn't a fully posed full back pose of Ashley like there was for the other people I pulled up. What I thought at finals was that if we just had a little bit more definition to her eyebrows, like they just kind of get lost. They look good here, but the makeup could have been a couple shades darker and just more definition of her features. So like a little bit more bronzing instead of just like one plain color on the face with like a tiny bit of bronzing on the cheeks. The blush is also a little bit light because the foundation is light. So everything just looked a little too light. And I've been critical in the past of like this glossiness she does on her lip. I think it reflects a little bit odd. And the color is not totally perfect. So I would love for her to just have more glam makeup overall. I think the hair in the back pose, the hair is a little bit too full on top, but I think in the front, it looks really good. I struggled with her hair last year because it just was a little bit, choppy and heavy on the top. So it just kind of went out a little bit. And then in her back pose, it just wasn't laying very pretty. It just looked like helmety right there, and then it got too narrow, and it was kind of covering her glutes, so we were seeing a lot of her back too. So yeah, I think the hair was like a major improvement. I think it looks pretty. In the back, like maybe it's a little bit voluminous here, but it's not anything too bad, honestly. I think it looks good. Oh, and then, dang, I shouldn't have done that. So I think with her back pose, Ashley and Amy had the densest glutes. That's what Adam was saying. Okay, so yeah, her density looks great. I felt like maybe her tan looked like it was a little bit lighter than other people's because it was a different undertone. It's more of a pinky red undertone than that golden undertone that other people's was, which makes her a little bit harder to get an apples to apples comparison. So her density does look really good. I don't know what it is. Like, I want to see some more roundness to the upper outer glute in the back pose. I think in the front pose, she is almost unmatched in the amount of projection she gets here. But in the back pose, I just haven't been very wowed by Ashley's glutes this season, and her glutes are a pretty wow body part. So yeah, I would like to see more projection on the upper outer here, but I think just a little more depth overall, like more projection would be good, but I don't know. Adam was saying that when she walked out, the judges were like, oh, she's a contender to win this show. So I think I'm just being a little too critical and trying to figure out what the deal was. But I think she was edged out by Amy because Amy's overall package was just more complete, like more glam, more confident. Ashley's posing is always something she could work on. She just doesn't look as confident as some of the other people. The walk is a little bit more choppy and she looks down a fair amount. The suit, I think the suit was pretty. In the pictures, I don't think it looks as cute, but I think, in the stream it looked pretty, so it probably looked good in person. I don't think the suit is standing in her way. But I don't think the lip color works with the suit. That's kind of throwing me off. And the undertone of the tan is kind of throwing me off with the suit. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking there. I think Amy was just more complete. And the vacuum bothers me a tiny bit, but Maureen kind of had like a rib thing going on. So obviously it's not that big of a deal. Okay. And then we have, I have to pee. Okay, I'm back. Okay, and then Laurale, we already went into, so I'm not going to go over Laurale. Do I still have her up, though? Because I'm going to get rid of that. And Laurale, I think, could come back next year and win. Like, I think it's just, like, an unfortunate year for her. I think she could actually, like, absolutely come back and win. And Laurale she's hard to beat when she's on. I'd be interested to see if she, at her best, would win against Maureen at her best. We didn't get the opportunity to see that last year. But yeah, because the year that Laurale got second to Jen, 2023, where was Maureen? Okay, let's see. Maybe Maureen didn't compete at that one. 2023. Oh, she got fourth. Okay, yeah, she can get second in 2023. It was in 2021. Yeah. Okay. And in 2021, I believe Maureen got fourth. I think this was her first Olympia, and Maureen got fourth. So 2019. Oh, it wasn't her first Olympia. She got ninth at her first Olympia in 2019. Okay. So yeah, we already talked about Laurale, so we won't go into her. And then in seventh place, let me just make sure I have everyone in the right order, which I believe I do. We had Evie. So Evie looked great. This is my favorite I've ever seen her. She looked softer on the stream than she does in these pictures, so I think it was the hardness that pushed her out. And I think she needs more depth to her glutes, so we get more shape in this front pose. Relax the arm. Same things I always say about Evie. Elbows in the back pose. She could strain her arms a little bit. Yeah, I mean, the things I always say about Evie for anyone new is bring the arm in tighter. Drop this hand down a little bit. Yeah, she's just a little bit too tight. Like, I don't see this fitting the bikini criteria that great, but she does well. So that's my own opinion. And then in eighth place, we had Vanya. So I was happy that Vanya got up to eighth. I had her in ninth at the end of prejudging yesterday. And Vanya, she was another one who was just like off. Like, I thought it was going to be her and Laurale fighting to win this show, but both of them just came in off. So Vanya's doing something different with her core here. It's really expanding and making her waist look really thick. And she already is on the smaller side, muscularity wise. So she doesn't have the biggest glutes. So if you make the waist look any thicker, then it throws off the entire hourglass shape. So she won the Arnold this year. Let's look at her front pose at the Arnold, because I want to, yeah, this is what her waist usually looks like. So I was so bummed about this. And she just didn't look as confident as she normally does. I think part of it is she's also more closed off in her hips than she usually is. She's probably delivering some kind of feedback, but I think that actually hurts her shape. She looks much more hourglassy when she's a little more opened up. And Vanya can afford to be more opened up because her waist is so tight when you're looking at her straight on. Someone like Maria Acosta, she doesn't have the most narrow waist. So if she's more opened up in her front pose, I'll show you. If she's more opened up, her waist can look a lot thicker. So she couldn't open it up as much as like a Vanya would. This is probably, I mean, she doesn't have as wide of a waist as I was thinking she might. I don't know. Let's go look at some other options. Okay. Vanya, Reina, Jordan, obviously no. Adriana, where's my wide-waisted queens? Okay, so Christabelina, she has a wider waist. So if she were more straight on, she wouldn't be able, it wouldn't work. It would throw off her hourglass shape. Okay, I ain't really finished on Vanya. So yeah, the front pose, that was my issue. The back pose, she looks more dense here than she did on stage. Back pose looks really good, but she just didn't look as poppy as she normally does. So I think that's why she ended up in 8th when she was in 5th last year. Okay, and then we have in 9th place, we have Maria. So I'm a big Maria fan. Last year she was in 8th place. And I think this was an incredible Maria look. I think that other people were just better. Like, I wouldn't do anything different with Maria. Maybe she could close off in the hips a little bit to get more projection in this glute and more hourglass shape. But the hair, makeup, tan, and suit are all beautiful. And we have seen her close off more in her front pose. And it didn't look quite as good. So was it at New York that she tried to close off more in the front pose? Yeah, I think that threw off. It had her leaning forward a little bit. She still looked incredible. But I don't know that I prefer it over this. I think this looks more relaxed. And in bikini, you're supposed to look like you're just standing there, even though it's like the most uncomfortable position to be standing in. So, yeah. Maria looked great. I don't think she should change anything. I think it's just a matter of other people edging her out. And then we have Ariana Brothers. So I am a big Ariana fan. She looked great. I thought that we could use like some blotting on the forehead. It looked like some people are really, struggling with shininess. So yeah, makeup, I would do that little edit, and then hair, I would run a brush through it. It looked like the curl fell out or something. I'm not sure. So Ariana, I was happy to see her back in top 10 at her first Olympia in 2023. She got 7th place. Then last year she ended up in, I believe, 13th place because Reina was 14th and Alice Rocco was 15th. So she was in 13th. Jordan was in 12th. So her waist looks really good, looks really tight. She gets really nice projection into her glute, really full shoulders. But she does have an imbalance from front to back. So she's a lot tighter in the front than she is in the back. And that takes away from balance and symmetry because she's not balanced from front to back. So if the conditioning doesn't match front to back, that can definitely hurt you. So I think that's why she landed where she did. I think she also doesn't have the same projection in the front pose that other people do. Her glutes look really full in the back pose, but I just have yet to see her come in with her okay, is this Reina? No, okay, that's Maria. Let me get rid of that. Okay, Ariana, this was my favorite Ariana look, the 2023 Olympia where she got 7th. So her conditioning was really full. It matched from front to back. Okay, that's Reina. Oh, I'm gonna get all messed up. Okay, that's Reina. Here's Ari, her back pose. So front to back, she totally matched. Did she have a little more detail in the serratus? Yeah, she did, but that's not like, a total imbalance. And yeah, this was just more balanced, more full, more akin to like Maureen's conditioning, but a little more density than Maureen compared to now. It looks like she's okay. So this 2023 to now. So she's definitely built her upper body a little bit. You see more density in the shoulders. But the lower body, I don't see much more density. I see a little more graininess, but I think she's just leaner here. So I would love for the lower body here to catch up with the upper body. And I don't know if it'd be possible for her to arch more in her front pose like she was at the 2023 Olympia. Now she's pretty neutral in the pelvis. If she made that adjustment, I think she'd have better shape. It wouldn't make up for not having as much muscle, but it would be more flattering, I think. So yeah, I think that's why she was intense. She was just a lot tighter and didn't match quite as well from front to back. And then in her back pose, I think she was fuller in 2023 than she is now, even though I'm sure she has more density now. So if we could recreate this, but a little more size on the lower, I think that's an Olympia winning look. And I look forward to the day that she's able to achieve that. And then in 11th place, we have Reina. So, okay, that's Reina's back pose. Cool. And this Reina's front pose. Reina, her biggest struggle is her front pose, figuring out what position works. So at RGV, I think she debuted this new front pose where she was more angled off. Okay, it wasn't RGV. It must have been the other show, RGV Mexico maybe. So she was a little more opened up here than she is here at the Olympia, but she always looks like she's tilting forward. I want her to like sit into this front leg more and then just pop this leg out in front of her. The feet are really close together and bring the arm tight to the frame, more like RGV. And yeah, I mean, and the makeup I think is really, I think that's a major issue. Like, I think the makeup just needs to be more glam. And she's just getting in her own way with not making it more glam. Oh, okay, so that was the more closed off one. She used to be more opened up like this, like when she got 14th last year. And the makeup here was a lot better. So I would like to see like that. Maybe the lighting is just favorable, but yeah. And then in her back pose is like almost unclockable. I don't have anything I would do here. I think it's just her front pose. That's the issue. I like the hair. And usually I think a middle part, like one of my commenters also said that the middle part just looks a little bit, more everyday and not very glam. I think Reina is someone who makes it work. Okay, and then we have, but generally I do agree with that sentiment. Jordan, she looked gorgeous. I thought her posing was a little bit too much. It was just like too bouncy, too many frills. Her front pose is always amazing. Like her front pose is really, really, really incredible. The makeup on her also looked a tiny bit light, not so much here, but on the stream at least it did. But the issue with Jordan is the tie-in area. So there's always a certain softness in this hamstring to glute tie-in area. So I think she just needs more density in her glutes and her hamstring. So her hamstring is pretty straight here. If she had more density in the hamstring and in the glutes, I think that would totally transform her back pose, and then we could see her in a top 5 at the Olympia, because the front pose is that good. It's just the back pose that is lagging. And then, oh, wait. We have Jordan first. Oh, that is Jordan. Okay, wow. She looks great. Okay. The coloring in the photo looked a little bit like Sally at first. Okay, so Jordan looked phenomenal. I felt for her because I know her goal for this year was getting top 10. I think that, like, you know, I think she kind of fits in with some of the people in the top 5, like with the amount of like detail she has here. That's similar to Jazzy. So why didn't she, like, I probably would have had her in 10th I would have had her beating Jordan because she's complete in the back pose. So I would have had her beating Jordan. Her confidence isn't as high as Jordan's. Even though Jordan was like really at her best, she's not as confident as a Jordan. So Jordan is the one who was just in the magenta suit we were talking about. So I would have had her above there. And then in 11th, I probably wouldn't have moved. If anything, I probably would have moved Raina into 10th and then Jordan into 11th. Yeah, and then Ari maybe before Jordan or something. I'm not sure. Ariana is like really, really captivating. So what I'm saying is, like, I could see placing having Jordan closer to the top 10. I don't know that she would break into the top 10. I think the highest I would have put her is like an 11th. If Laurale weren't Laurale, I don't think she would be in that top 10, but she might still be like ahead of a Jordan, you know? So it's hard to say. This back pose is incredible. I would like her to straighten the arms a little bit so the elbows don't pop out and we'd see more pop in the rear delts, but hair, makeup, suit, tan, everything is gorgeous. The shape in the front pose is gorgeous. I'm seeing a little more detail in the core than I usually do, which is something I always say that I'd like to see from her. The only imbalance I'm seeing is the amount of vascularity up top compared to the bottom. And the bottom, like, there's a little more detail on the bottom of the front pose than there is in the back. Like, the back is totally perfect. So I don't know. Does that mean she needs to build more quads? I don't know necessarily. Like, that could make her look a little bit too grainy. So I'm not sure, but this was a really, really beautiful look. So congrats to her. She probably wouldn't want to hear congrats because, like, this was not her goal, but, you know. Okay, and then we have Sally Ann. So, you know, I was excited about Sally Ann. The only thing I think Sally Ann needs is more density and projection of the glutes, and then I think she's top 10. Like, I honestly would have had Sally Ann probably in Ariana's position. Yeah, I would have. I would have. I think she's more complete than the other people, like more complete than Ariana, more complete than Jordan, than Raina in her front and her back poses, and than Jordan. Like, I think she's more complete. Her conditioning matches front to back, top to bottom. Her confidence is there. The suit color, hair, makeup, tan, all look perfect. She has similar conditioning to Maureen, like I said earlier. Like, this is gorgeous. I would love to see her higher. I think she just doesn't have as much glute projection. Maybe the quads are overpowering a little bit. Like, maybe she could point her toes even a little more forward, but this is really good. Like, I'm just trying to see what could have helped, but this is really, really good, and I really want to see her in the top 10 next year. To me, she's like a top 5 look if she puts on more density in her glutes. And then, G-Bin. Okay, let's go to Victoria, and then we'll talk about G-Bin, because G-Bin was solidly in 16th place, like I said earlier. So, Victoria, I think this is incredible. She, like, this is her first year competing as a pro, and she's already looking like this, getting in the top 15. Like, there's not much she needs to do. It's just a matter of putting on more size in lower body, specifically this glute, because you see that dipping. So if we could see more of that in the back pose, if she had a little more coverage here, I think it would conceal where the glute connects to the low back, which would help, but I don't think that would have changed her placing. I think this is as good as it was going to get, which is really good. So she just needs more size in lower body to match the amount of size she has on the upper. She's pretty developed on the upper. Keep the small waist and build glutes, hamstrings, and maybe she'll have to do a little more quad just to balance the leg itself, but just more lower body, and that's it. Like, hair, makeup, suit, her confidence was fucking crazy. Like, she's it. She is the moment. And then we have Jibin in 16th place. So Jibin placed 15th at the 2022 Olympia. Big Jibin fan. The only thing, I think she just needs more upper outer glute, and like she's already placing this well with not having that much muscle. So that's it. I would just do that, see what happens. A little more hamstring so it's not so straight. But that's it. She looks incredible. I would love to run a brush through the hair too, but that's all. So I think that's everything. Yeah, so we'll see what happens next weekend. I'll recap those shows. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you everyone for who subscribed and for who? Everyone who subscribed and for liking my video. And I just appreciate it. Have a good day. Bye.